So first, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Maria Lohan. And please, Professor Lohan, can you tell us a few words about the UNESCO chair that you're leading and explain why it is important to challenge toxic ideas about masculinity that lead to violence and discrimination, and why we need to engage men and boys in efforts to promote gender equality. The floor is yours.
Oh, yes, happy to, and thank you very much. Well, in essence, the aim of my UNESCO chair is about exploring the best ways to engage men and boys on gender equality for women and girls, but also about improving men's and boys' lives alongside. So I think what we have become aware of, even in the last couple of weeks, is the importance not to alienate men, but to bring them into the conversation and to think about what are the best ways of doing that, of creating allies. And my UNESCO chair is particularly focused on the area that we're talking about today, which is sexual and reproductive health and rights, and also more specifically around gender-based violence. So I'd like to posit to you, first of all, why I think the general argument of the need to include men and boys in these kinds of debates are important. And let me sort of describe it to you, if you like, in terms of a relatively simple equation that I guess is not so simple, but let me put it this way. Over on the left-hand side, you can see that empowering women and girls in sexual and reproductive health and rights is extremely important, and it's the place we start. And it's the place we have started for a very, very good reason, because most of the deficits in areas of sexual and reproductive health and rights, whether it's gender-based violence, unintended pregnancy, deficits in access to family planning, they all impact women's and girls' lives very hugely. And these are where the main deficits lie. But we also understand that years and years of investment in this area with women and girls has been extremely important in changing this. But the more we have done research and interventions in that area, and the more we talk to women and girls, we also understand that men and boys in their lives, as well as men and boys in society, are key enablers and inhibitors of sexual and reproductive health and rights for girls and women. So it also becomes extremely important to think of the ways we need to intervene with men and boys to also shift this dial for women and girls, as well as improve sexual and reproductive health and rights for boys also, men and boys, where there are also inequalities among men and boys. So this is extremely important for shifting the bigger sustainable development goals in terms of improving health and well-being, gender equality, and quality education. But it's not a simple equation, as I said as well, because it becomes quite hard when there's so much to do over here with women and girls. When we recognize that, to shift focus onto men and boys, because that means shifting resources as well. So it begs the question, not just if we should engage with men and boys, but also how we should do this. How we should do this so that we don't disinvest from women and girls when we invest in men and boys. And you'll find in the policy literature, whether you'll find it in work with WHO, you'll find it in work with UNESCO, they often refer to this policy approach called a gender transformative approach. Perhaps not the best name in the world, but a gender transformative approach, I think, is a very important policy way or way of thinking about bringing men and boys into the table here. Because it's about engaging with men and boys on issues such as sexual and reproductive health and rights or quality education or any areas of health, but with keeping gender equity in the frame for women and girls at the same time, so that we don't lose sight of women and girls as we invest with men and boys. So it's about engaging with men and boys as allies and, where necessary, challenging harmful masculinities or what was put up there as toxic masculinities in order to improve gender relations for all. So I think as well, comprehensive sexuality education is a fantastic place to start in terms of investing in these kind of issues with men and boys early in adolescence to last a lifetime. So that's why the most important area we're going to learn about today is the work that's been going on in Armenia. And I look forward to hearing all about this and sharing that as an example. And then afterwards, I'll come back and share a few examples from other parts of the world. Thank you.